Okay, this is the time and place for the March 13th meeting of the Board of Trustees for the Boise Public Library. We're going to go ahead and start our meeting. Could we get a roll call, please?
Kamal.
Yes.
Fleming.
Here.
Lemons. Here. Kuznetsky.
Here.
Pantera.
Here.
All 5 board members present.
Thank you. I think first up is our minutes. I would entertain a motion to approve minutes from the February board meeting.
I move that we approve the minutes of the February board meeting as written.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Next up is the consent agenda. As a reminder, all matters on the consent agenda may be considered in a single motion unless anyone requests to remove an item for discussion. With that said, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Yes.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Next up, we will have our reports. First up is Zach Monahan, the president of the Friends of Boise Public Library. I believe Zach is online, but I don't see him.
I don't see him on the list.
Okay, so we may not have that today, looks like. We'll move to our new foundation president, Camille Franks. Welcome.
Hi, good morning, everyone. I am so excited to be here. My name is Camille Franks, and I am the new board chair for the foundation. I will have been on the board 10 years this summer, and I am both grateful and humbled to be able to help in this way. My day job is being an HR consultant, and I have loved the library since I was a tiny kid, and my parents would bring me to the library in that building you're in now to pick out books. So as for our report, at our February meeting, we welcomed a new board member, Javi Sayona. He is with First Interstate and comes to the board with a deep banking background and also a love for the library. That began with his days at Boise State, and now he is able to share that love with his young daughter. So beyond that, no further updates this month as our next meeting is tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you, Camille, and welcome. We're so glad to have you. It looks like, I think I saw Zach arrive. So we'll move backwards to the Boise Public Library report. Hi, Zach.
Hi, I apologize for being a couple of minutes late. I will make this brief. No significant updates regarding new sales at this time, but the Friends of the Boise Public Library will be holding a pop-up event at Tree Fort next weekend. So we hope to use that as an opportunity to reach an audience that's a little bit different than our typical audience at both the bookstore and our pop-up sales at library events. So we are excited about that. And then during the last meeting, I did receive a question about online sales and if Amazon is still a channel for our group. And the answer is yes. In 2023, we did about $4,800 in Amazon sales. That was down significantly year over year. It was down from just under 40K. So in 2023, we did just over 21,000 in online sales and over 53,000 in physical sales. So I think the question was related to the impact of kind of the operations being pushed out of the fourth floor. We do still have the capability to do those Amazon online sales. I think the group is just still adapting to how to do that. So I did want to follow up on that data point, and I'm happy to have any discussion offline. I can't remember exactly who asked the question.
I did. Thank you.
Other questions, Zach? Okay, thank you so much, Zach. We will move on to library director report. Jessica?
In front of all of you today, I'm thrilled. These are hot off the press. Just got picked up this morning. This is our 2023 report to the community. And as you remember from our strategic plan, one of the commitments that we made was to update the community on the impact more. And also, really focus on that key finding of people don't know all the services that the library has. So you all had asked us to make sure that we were focused to build that into our annual things. So thrilled to have this year's report. It literally just arrived today, so we will be getting it out to all branches and all locations this week. Then just real quickly, I wanted to give you a brief update on the Idaho legislative session by request. As you know, Idaho legislature is still considering legislation that will impact libraries. In February, we last updated you on that, and at that time, Senate Bill 1289 was being considered in the Senate, and that went to vote on February 22nd, and that failed to pass by one vote. So with that, then the House picked up library legislation and is now looking at a new bill. This is Bill 710, which is a revision to 384, and I'm kind of impressed with myself over all the numbers right now. We were on Monday, Nikki and Ron and I were there with Kathy Bismeyer, and we were all signed up to testify in opposition to 710. Ron was the person who was called and spoke on concerns about the bill. It moved out of committee, and we will continue to track and monitor what may happen. And I've said this will be a long session, and if something does pass, we will have plenty of time as a board to carefully consider what that final version is and how that may impact our policies or procedures. So we'll keep you updated, and again, really want to thank Nikki and Ron for being there with me. And then final, just a couple things to preview our April Board of Trustee meeting. We will talk about the FY25 budget bill because that work is starting. So as you remember from our cadence of board meetings, April is when we start talking about budget. We'll also have a facility planning update. And if you can, mark your calendars for May 18th. That is our summer reading and learning kickoff. I know how much we appreciated having board members at that very fun event. Again, it will be a jump. So we'll, as we get closer to that, obviously we'll see promotion. I just wanted to give you heads up for that. And then, also you do have a little promotion for the Boise Comic Arts Festival because we also have those dates. And with that, I'll stand for questions.
Questions for Jessica? I just have a little comment per se. I find like this page really, really helpful because I think people sometimes don't realize or have any concept of how much the library is used and how much it does. So I love this kind of colorful key snapshot that we can use out in the community to kind of share and make people aware of everything that's available. So thank you.
No, thanks. I should have mentioned this earlier. Josh Letzinger from CE was very instrumental in making sure that this was put together and looks.
Yeah, it looks great. Thank you so much.
I did have one small question for Jessica. Treasure Valley Reads, I can't recall having heard of that program before. I don't know whether I missed it, it's been long running or whether it's new.
It is a long running program. Sarah, would you be able to give some background on Treasure Valley Reads?
Sure. It started actually many years ago with a National Endowment for the Arts grant that we shared with Ada Community Library. And over time, we've made it more local. So it's a yearly event. We collaborate with libraries across the Treasure Valley and a number of other organizations. And then depending on the book, we will bring in a variety of other partner organizations. So it's time spent learning, doing book clubs, learning more about whatever the particular topic is of that book and bringing the author in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Well, thank you, Jessica. I know you've been really busy and I appreciate your efforts with all the extra work helping me this month with the legislative. So next up, we have our policy review. As a reminder, we review one or a group of policies every meeting. We do this every year and make it through, I think, the whole policy catalog every year. So I believe Sarah's here to present, and I think this one is about the use of the library.
Yes, so this is, again, part of section 4.0. This is the longest section of policy in our manual. So I've broken it up into sections. This piece focuses on security. You'll notice the policy summary page looks a little different this time. We've added in an exhibit Instead of redlining the current regulation, we actually put the current one and the new one because it was going to be too confusing and messy. So I'll walk you through. Please ask me questions as we go because there's a lot here. Policy-wise, we are not recommending any changes. The items we're sharing that we are making changes to are here for your review, but because they're regulation, they're not ones that you need to vote on. So starting at the top, and I'm gonna tell you a little bit more about the background when I get to it. But with 4.04 policy security, you can see it was last revised in 2011. Not suggesting any changes to that. The next item you see, the rules of conduct, that shows it was revised in 2019 and 2022. That is where it currently stands. This is the piece we're changing up quite a bit and adding an exhibit. As a staff, we've been talking for quite a while on how do we make the rules clear? How do we make them approachable? How do we explain why those rules are in place? And truly it's so everyone has a great experience when they're here, not to be punitive. So the current iteration you'll see is a page and a half long. It's a bit confusing to read. You have to start at the top, such conduct includes, and then that attaches to all of the rules down below. And again, it's very long. So if you go to the next page, the 4.04, this is the update to that regulation where we have made it one page. We've made each numbered section a little bit shorter and clearer, working closely with legal to make sure we still have all the things we legally need to have in place. This is on page 15 of your packet. We did add in some pieces like number 5. We added in the word telephonically because we hadn't included unacceptable behavior by phone, which happens. And so we've got some processes in place. So that was a piece we added onto that. So this is meant to be the regulation. A piece that staff has been requesting is for us to be very transparent with our library users. So this will be posted in all of our buildings. We also have an additional exhibit that gives more guardrails or more framework for why we have these pieces in place. Having this as one page will also make this very easy if we have an unfortunate incident where we need to suspend someone for any length of time. They get a suspension, a piece of paper with their suspension. We can put this right on the back of it and circle it so it's quick and easy to point to. So if you move on to page 16, this is 4.04B. That's the security appeals process. Again, not recommending any changes to that. That just outlines what a library user would do if they did get a suspension and the process we work through. Page 17 is the new exhibit we've created, the Code of Conduct expanded version to support a positive experience at the library. This has taken the rules and group them together in sections of why they exist and how this makes your experience better in the library. We also pulled in our mission and our values right at the top. So we're saying this is how we're living out our mission and values as for you as a library user coming in. So again, it's really to promote welcoming, comfortable spaces, which we expect all visitors and staff to honor. And then we've taken all the rules that were over here and it's more of a narrative. So Boise Public Library values respect and accessibility for all. Here are the things that meet those pieces. Boise Public Library values safety and health for all. Here are all the pieces that support that, and so on. And then getting it to the end with, here's what happens when we have to enforce the rules and we may have a suspension. These will also be posted. Staff have been doing a lot of looking around other libraries, and we've seen some really cool examples of eye-catching posters that are very simple with a QR code on it. So someone could quick grab that and review the rules if they wanted to. So we're working with CE and staff to determine what areas of the library might those be beneficial. What do we want to highlight? So that will roll out as well. So again, making this a lot more transparent for our users to understand what our expectations are and how to have a good experience in the library. And yeah, I can't emphasize how much input we got from staff, mental health coordinator, legal, security. So this has really been a long collaborative effort that I'm very excited. I think those are all my things about it. I know it was a lot. What questions do you have?
Questions for Sarah?
Really good.
Yay, great, sorry.
Actually, yeah, question. How often do we actually have to impose these rules on somebody who violates?
Like to do a suspension to ask them to, it depends on the week, and it's usually it might be for the day, you know, it might be something, we'll talk to someone more than once and make sure they're clear. Give them tips to how to be successful, and if they can't be successful that day, depending on the level of conduct. It could be a week, 2 weeks, a month. Typically, it's more of a day.
And how often is this? I mean, in a given month, how many times do you actually have to enforce somebody's bad or call somebody's bad behavior out?
Oh, daily. I mean, but not to suspend them, but just a reminder, because this is a gathering place and we've got people with all different backgrounds and experiences, and they may not, that's part of the posting these publicly. They may not realize you can't talk super loudly on your phone. You can't block a walkway with your thing so someone can't access the phone. So those kinds of things. So it's not a lot of big major things, but again, there are things that affect the quality of an experience of the library.
And usually when you're suspending somebody for a day, it's usually just because they've escalated the level of, it's like, this isn't good.
Absolutely. Yeah, our goal, we prefer to have them be able to stay. And so that's our first goal, but if it's just not working, we try it.
Appreciate it.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you. This is really thoughtfully put together, and I appreciate legal's work and Ashley's work and everybody's work coming together and collaborating. Thank you. Okay, our next item is something I know we've all been excited for. Is the library website redesign and update on that project. So Jessica, I think you were going to give.
Yeah, I was just going to introduce Rebecca Gray, who I think some of you know, but I think definitely Rishma and Ron, she's new. She has been part of a real super team that has been working with us on this platform migration and upgrade. I'm sorry to say that Megan Fox, who has been equally involved in more, is out ill and not able to join. But so I think Becca might be a little nervous with that, but she is going to do a fabulous job giving you all a sneak preview, and we will give you a chance to look at the site. I really want to make sure you recognize this is still the development site. This is not live, as you know, when you go to boisepubliclibrary.org right now, you are looking at the current site. So you all get a first sneak preview of what our new site will look like.
Thanks, Jessica. Thank you for having me here today to talk with all of you. I look forward to showing you the actual site in just a moment. That's usually the part people like to talk the most about. So I just want to give a little bit of background for you guys before we step into looking at the site. Jessica mentioned that our web strategy manager couldn't be here, so I will do my best to give you all the information you need. So let me give you a little bit of the backstory. So sort of the project evolution, highlighting some areas here. Budgetary alignment, we looked at that, we looked at what we had and said, what do we need to do? And that led us to focus on that second bullet, which you see there, which we would call removing technical debt. We want a website for all of you and for all the community and everyone who's using it that's accessible and stable and really supported by our content management system. And when we were looking at it, it was not. And so that also opened up the opportunity, we called it out here as a design opportunity, to take a leap into a more modern website with an enhanced experience within the scope of that technical. So the process that we went about that, and this is key, highly collaborative. So library, library staff, library leadership, IT, information technology, and community engagement. We have been collaborating. There are members from those groups on the core team, and then the team expanded and flexed as needed to make sure that we were trying to take in all of those things that would give us the best outcome for the community. Hosting focus groups, getting people to come into a room and asking them questions about buttons and navigation and what makes sense to you logically. And all of that was done independent of that core team. So that was a really beneficial and useful thing to then meld into the information we already had. Another key area was focusing on website web best practices and forward-looking enhancements that goes into accessibility and other such things that we like to be forward-looking about. And then we used a third-party development team, someone that was experienced in the content management system we had to really help backfill some of that and move, once we were ready, move things along quickly. And then we were calling out here library orientation. So we've actually spent last week doing road shows at all of the branches to get staff starting to see it. And then along with you, so 164 staff members. I tried to look at how many we had. They are taking a look at it for us and making sure that they're finding the things they need. And they just started that this week as well as you're going to be taking a look. So deliverables. What are we getting? What are we delivering? We're going to be on the newest technical platform, and that does multiple things. Really speaks to that stability, but it also puts us in a really great position to be able to, if we decide we need to promote something new, we can move quickly to move that on there and make sure the community knows about it, that type of thing. An enhanced web experience, you're going to see that in just a moment, probably speaks a little bit better me showing it to you. Streamline, modernize, and fully reviewed content. We talked about that collaboration. The content that's on the site is the same content we have now, sometimes reimagined, sometimes combined, but also reviewed by the experts in that area. So we're making sure that we're putting things in the right place, we're connecting the right things and lining things up, so making it as easy as possible to access what they need. Analytics, part you don't see, but everyone, we need to know, because we need to know what's important to people. Where are they clicking? Oh, this is important. We need to move that up. This is all set up now to be able to have that foundational background and have that set up for us so that we can make decisions based on that, and less on we think, but more on we know. Accessibility. This is a really important one. We want to make sure that the website is accessible and meets accessibility standards. And it is actually going through, it is built to that. And we are making sure that we are we're meeting that requirement and set up to exceed that requirement. And then again, the enhanced technical environment. This is some stuff on the back end, but we're able to do some great things with content now to verify ahead of time, to make sure we like the way things look. It's going to present as we expect, and then put it into what I like to call that production or that live environment without any surprises. So
It's just all being delivered as a package.
yes,
Perfect.
yes. Everything I'm talking about here is not something you'll have to wait for. It is in the new one. Some of it requires building information as people start to use it. Then we can start making decisions off of some of those analytics and that type of thing, but it's all it's already built in. Did you?
And I just want to stress that, to Becca's first point about the goal of this really was that technical platform need,
Yes.
that we just were at the end of life with the version that we were on and had to make this. And how I'm so appreciative of how IT and CE worked with us is that we got to the, okay, this is all about sustainability. But we kept saying, but plus, like, there's other things. And they really allowed us an opportunity to define that plus, to take advantage of, we need, this is our, as we talk about, this is our 6th location. This is very heavily used. It's 24/7 access to all our materials. And so that technical need was so important. And we were really excited about the analytics and the pieces behind the scenes that you won't be able to see. But boy, did they help us also make stuff findable in new ways. And I really appreciate when we kept coming with our list of improvements of, well, can we find events better? Can we find materials better? How do we present some of this information? They really did work with us to meet both the absolute technical immediate need and let's take advantage of this opportunity as well. The way user management. So thank you.
Thanks for calling that out. Okay. We're going to jump into the tour here in just a second, but some of the things, the features, the fun things you're going to see me. I'm going to show you menus, how the search works, our upcoming events, digital resources, and some stuff around locations and events. There's much more than that, but those are some of the things that are highly visible and very different. Okay, so to do this, I have to share my screen. And let us. Yep, no problem. All right. Let's see. Technical limitations on being there. Wait, here we go. See, we were almost there. Flash across my screen. There we go. And the reason I have to share my screen and I can't just bring it up for you, please let it show. And is it possible to minimize thank you. Okay. And it is sized a little bit for my laptop. So, and then onto this screen, we have had to call this out in all of our orientations. It resizes for the big screen. So it's going to look a little bit different on yours thing. And the lag is because of me sharing. The reason I have to share my screen is right now we have this sort of behind the wall. And then of course, this will be available. This will be the new website out for the public. Okay, so a couple of things. I talked about the menus and I have to look down at my screen here and get this. Please work. Sorry, it's working on my screen. I think there's a little bit of a lag. There is a little bit of a lag. I'm hoping that it will catch up with me. There's nothing like doing a live demo.
Yeah.
And hopefully it won't move on from this since I clicked another button. So this is what we're talking about with the new menus. We have a lot of features here. And again, the lag is going to slow it down for you a little bit. But when it hasn't quite caught up with me. It will catch up in a second. When you hover over these, it's changing the color and emphasizing the image. So it's drawing your eye to it. And the colors will alternate. It's maybe a pink, maybe a green. It's following our color profiles that we use here at the city. And really the goal of that is to draw people into it and make sure that they know where they're navigating to and really making it the focus of that. And I am sorry for the approximately 1 minute lag that is happening because I'm on a completely different screen and I've also clicked on one of these. So you can see how the colors will change. And then I clicked on the button and then they will take you, into Vega, our catalog, and move from there. I'm going to hit back because I know that the timing on this is going to take a few minutes. Yeah, I'm counting it now. It's about a 30-second lag. So what I'm going to show you next, I'm going to go to a part of the website that doesn't have the drop down, and I'll show you that a little bit more. But while this is loading and the lag is accounting for it, you can see the search bar, this blue bar that we have just below the library logo. So one of the things we had lots of discussions about was search. We wanted to make sure that's one of the primary things our constituents, that the community does when they come to our library. In this search, you're able to search the catalog, which is the default. But if you click that down arrow, And I don't want the screen to freeze for a moment, so I'll just, you can also switch to searching the site. So you're able to switch between the two and navigate. If I just want to find this thing, I was there before and I don't want to click, you can search for the site, or you can search the catalog. That will be on all pages, as will this top part here. I'm going to move to our locations and event page because that will load the page. We'll be able to talk about it there and talk about some of the fun features there. And I'll also be able to show you upcoming events, which is one of the things that, well, I'm personally most excited about, and I think a few other people are as well. So some different ways to be showing our libraries here now, and I want the page to catch up with me. But as I scroll down, it's going to list all of our libraries. There's a flag you see with the green that switches to closed when they're closed. And so, for example, if you're looking on Sunday and it's 11 a.m., you will see only that downtown's. Just trying to help navigate through those things with the community. And while we're waiting for the screen to catch up, I'm going to scroll down to upcoming events so that I can show that to you. Okay, so one of the things we had lots of discussions about was how do we help the community know at a glance what's happening today? Like, because this is something Megan, who wishes she could be here, would say is like, as a mom, I might be willing to cross town if I know there's something for my toddler. So I can now look because there's a legend at the bottom, like pink is the baby's toddler's preschool, and you can see it goes up from there. And I can say, oh, today there's four of the libraries are having events that apply there. And so I can click into one of those, and then it's going to use the same functionality we have now. We use LiveCal to manage that right now. And you can go there and you can see what's happening today in that library. Or you can go see all and you can say, show me everything, starting with today. You can really search from there. But we wanted to create a real visual way to draw people and give them an opportunity to see quickly what's available. I'm going to stop and I'm going to, Jessica, was there anything else in particular you wanted me to show? The highlights?
The digital resources?
Oh, yes, thank you so much. See, this is why we, yes, absolutely.
And don't worry,
It will be quick.
when we are working, the lag time does not exist with.
Yeah, I had
It's
several
just
conversations
Just
this
because
morning about.
she's going to the production site, and so there's a lot to get it to display. But in the real, when you see it, you'll be able to click and it'll respond like a web page.
I'm already looking at the digital resources on the screen. So I'm just going to wait for it to load here and then I'll show you.
So this is another piece that Kathy's team has done a lot of work. We have such a great digital resources collection. There's just some incredible resources. They have been harder to find for the public to sort of discover them or browse to them. So there's been a lot of work to really try to make those more visible and understood what those individual resources would be.
Related to that, how did you get to this?
Yeah, that's
digital
exactly
resource
Yes,
page?
I will back up and I will show you. There's going to be multiple places where you can actually get here. And I'll show you. This was me straight going to Books and More and then picking digital resources from there. There's also some different ways. We have some pre-filtered views into this on our homepage, like that you can click on a button. It will bring you to a pre-filtered view because you had a specific interest in something. And so there's multiple ways to get there. I scrolled down so I could show you that within this, it has its own search so the team has done so much work reviewing these and then deciding what categories they can go into. Is it, I'll click on it here and it will take a moment to show you, but does it go under books and graphic novels or history? Or you can see some of them here. And then when I search by those, it's going to show me that subset. So it allows me to do that. So I can search either by a category, or I can, if I know I just want to go to Libby, I can put that in and click search as well. So this was one way that we could show all of the wonderful things that are offered to the community here, and then find ways for people to narrow their searches where they needed to for their specific area of interest.
So you mentioned Libby, and I had kind of a,
Did I?
well, I was curious how this works with or doesn't, like Ida and Libby. Like the library apps.
So,
Because like, for example, I always search the catalog on Ida, so I don't know if it's.
so, and Kathy, you will tell me if I say the wrong thing. Those are still their own unique things that stand on their own, and you can get to them from here, or you can look from them into that world as well.
So are they,
So-
would they be listed as like a digital resource? Okay.
Okay. I clicked on something while I wasn't looking. I'm gonna click off that for just a second, so hopefully we can get that lag to clear. What other questions could I answer for you at this juncture?
So I have two sort of, two questions. One, how it works in mobile.
Oh, yes, that's an excellent question. So we have a specific mobile menu, and it's designed for that. It kind of, I guess I won't use the right design terms, but I'll say it simplifies it so that it's easier for you to navigate and see from there. I will tell you, we're making a few tweaks to that this week. So there's a reason I didn't show it here. It's actually 96% there. But I know there's one thing I just want them to make it even better. So,
And do we have any sense in terms of and maybe you'll know this, or once it's the sort of analytics of how many people are coming using mobile devices versus laptops or desktops or something from home?
yeah, I don't know the answer to that question, but I will reach out to the people who do and see what kind of information we can pull now versus what we'll be able to know in the future.
And then, so that's one question. And then the second is, I know when in my former job, we did redesigns, which was massive. There was always this tension between the stuff that you just guessed. It was all the data says, nobody knows that these sites, or the percentage of people using them is so low as to really not warrant the amount of time to continue to keep it updated. And so was there anything that just got, like, nobody's going here, so few people were just
You know, what I would say about that is overall, there was nothing where we're like, we don't need that. There were some old documents we found and some links to old things where we're like, you know what, we don't need to go to something from 2018 anymore. We can move that up in the list. And there was maybe we found actually going through some broken links and things like that. So if it was something that we'd already retired, then we of course removed that. But we didn't have to make any major decisions about like, oh, we can't include this because we don't have enough time. We were able to bring all the functionality we wanted and all the information we wanted ahead with us. I think, Jessica, do you have anything to add to that? Or?
No, I think so. The process that Becca led really was, we looked at all the content and then figured out, she mentioned the subject matter experts. So who is the person on my staff that should look at that and see, okay, this is our opportunity. If we're going to migrate it, is it worth migrating or should we edit it? So this is where, we have a government documents library. So her job was to really look at how we represented government documents. People who were involved in the Boise Comic Arts Festival, looking at that. So we really, they did a great job of giving us multiple waves of here's content. We're going to have you look at it in this version. We're going to migrate it over. Now we're going to actually look at it again. So there were some real good opportunities. So I think Becca's right that we didn't find anything. Oh, this is not necessary.
Obsolete and not needed.
But we definitely took advantage of, can we present this a different way? For instance, and I'll just call this out because I got to see this ahead of time. There's now a really cool timeline feature in the on the website. So we had a history page that was a lot of text, and we just like, hey, why don't you just build the timeline of the library? Starting where it was the very first 1896, I think. And so we now have so same content, just took advantage of a different way to present it.
last question. So often when people build websites and they've got all these wonderfully enhanced features, right? Then they just crash when you use some of the process. So this is gonna work on people with the absolute newest version of whatever Firefox, but is it can also work on somebody's 1.0 version of whatever?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So there is a comprehensive set of browser testing that is done both by our third-party development partner. They're in the process. They started it last week and they'll finish it this week and notate to us if they find anything. We also have an internal tool here that our development team is using to do the same type of thing that tests basically all the browsers that are still available. Of course, you always focus on the main ones first, but if there's ones that are still applicable and available, we do the same thing with different types of phones, different types of computers, that type of thing. And it's a programmatic way of doing it so that we can both go look ourselves, but it will also tell us if something is not presenting properly or at all.
Thank you.
Forgive me if I missed it. What is the estimated timeline for launch?
Oh, I didn't see that.
Or is there?
When you wake up on the morning of April 2nd.
Okay. No joke.
Not a joke.
And so this is another thing that we were really careful about the timing on. As you know, so much of our staff help people navigate the website. And one of the things that I was really, like, hey, development team, we need to give staff as much time to orient themselves, because right now staff know that, our website has been so static for so long that they can, I joke, they can close their eyes and they can say, okay, go to the homepage, click on the upper right hand corner, go to the, they know when they're on the phone or walking somebody through something, they know exactly where to find the right thing. So we did an intentional, the road shows that, like I mentioned, where she and Megan literally went to every location and met with staff to sort of walk them through conceptually what it'll look like. And now we've had everybody in the development site so that they are going through it with, their idea of, okay, I get asked these questions, where did that resource that I know in the old site, where did it go, so I can make sure I can helpful to staff. So this is where we really wanted to have what we call that orientation table. So that when it goes to the public, staff are really familiar with it and also have been able to, we've got a Teams channel where they're asking and answering questions with each other. So that is ongoing and gives us some real confidence that when it does go to the public, that our staff will be able to answer the public's questions in the same way that they can.
At the moment, how often do people call? Yes, how do I find this stuff? So is it every day, 10 times a day, 100 times a day? Do you have any sense?
It does, the question makes sense.
Yeah, but I don't know that.
I just know that.
Sarah, would you, Sarah's
Every day.
every day.
Every day, every location. And sometimes it's long-term users who maybe are trying out something new they haven't used on our site before, but particularly with newer library members, just trying to figure out where are these electronic resources.
I just know that when we did an upgrade to our site, and did a lot of changes, the number of calls we got just went through. So I would just be prepared in terms of
Right.
staffing up to expect that there's gonna be a lot of. Just
When
people
does
don't
go?
like change, even if it's
Yes.
better change,
Right.
but it's just so.
And Jessica stressed it, but we've tried to keep the forefront of our minds, like how important it is for the library staff to be supported in this, to really feel strong in it. And then also for managing change. We want to help wherever we can. So we're trying to use all the avenues to make sure we're feeling solid, that staff is feeling solid, and that they can know that they can ask questions. We still have.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah, sounds really exciting. Okay.
Okay, so next up is selection of trustee to review payment vouchers. Ron, are you available to do that?
Yeah.
Great. And our next meeting is April 10th, 2024. We will have issues with that date. Have a quorum, so that should be good. And then we will now be going to executive session. I think I need a motion and a roll call vote. And be sure to list this.
She's got me.
Okay, perfect. Go ahead.
I move that under provisions of Idaho State Code 74-2061B, this board recess for an executive session for the purpose of discussing personnel matters, and that roll call be taken on this motion.
Second.
Roll call, please. Kamal.
Yes.
Lenny.
Yes.
Lemons.
Yes.
Wisniewski.
Yes.
Shantara. Yes. All in favor, motion carried. We will adjourn to executive session and then we will be back to adjourn the meeting. session at 12:32, and I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.